This situation keeps getting worse for the Toronto Maple Leafs as John Tavares in practice today has went down with an injury, and it does not look good for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Their power play has been struggling. The Leafs have been struggling, and a key player on their power play, and John Tavares having a huge, great season, a breakout season given his age, is down with an injury. We're going to break that down. We're also going to discuss some other lineup changes that Craig Berube has made ahead of tomorrow night's big game against Sheldon Keefe and the New Jersey Devils. But before we get into it, a quick reminder, if you're part of the 70% who aren't subscribed to the channel, is the place to be for daily Leafs content. So make sure to hit that subscribe button. And thank you guys again for your continued support. Darius, we had a video earlier today discussing some other updates. And then, right after we recorded that video, a little bit after, John Tavares, like you saw here, and I'll show you some more of the clip later, he goes down with an injury. And at this time, we have some updates from Craig Berube. We don't have a firm, concrete update yet. We will continue to have a timeline, I would say, over the next few days here. But we do have a pretty big update that Craig Berube has given. And there's a few different things. So John Tavares goes down during a power play drill late in Leafs practice. He has left the locker room. Now, this is bad, obviously. John Tavares is having, and I said a breakout season in the intro. Given his age and what the expectations were, he has been unbelievable this season. A video look at the play resulting in Tavares leaving practice. He's still being evaluated. Not a pretty sight. And again, you look at the injury, you look at how it happened. You can see here, it looks like he trips kind of on a skate and then falls down. Not great because there wasn't a huge point of contact on this to necessarily cause the injury. So hopefully it's nothing too severe. But Darius, for a team that's power play is depleted, that is looking to get back on track, first in the Atlantic, worst case, not worst, one of the worst players you don't want to see anybody injured, but especially regarding how good the power play, hey, how good he's been on the power play. This is horrible.
Yeah, this is a tough play in practice to go down like this. And I mean, ironically, they were practicing the power play and they were doing power play drills. And he goes down. It's an awkward play. It looks like he kind of catches maybe Tanev's skate or something. And I'm always really, cautious of some of these collisions, or not even a collision, but when a guy goes down without really being hit, and we saw it, against McCabe a couple of days ago and a couple of games ago, different players around the league, when guys go down, a little bit after being hit or without being hit, that's really tough for me. Like that, you never want to see that. So that kind of looks like what happened with Tavares here. Maybe his knee, again, all speculation at this point. He's being evaluated. Could be his knee, maybe his groin, something like that. Something with his leg. Didn't look good there. He looked like he was in a lot of discomfort going off to the dressing room as well. And it's just a tough play. It's a freak accident. Obviously, nobody at fault here, but hopefully it's nothing crazy. Maybe he just pulled something and he'll be right back into shape tomorrow. But that's tough. That's something we saw happen with Pacioretty against the Montreal Canadiens earlier this season, where he just went down, right? He pulled his hamstring and that was it. So hopefully nothing like that for John Tavares, because he's been playing great this year. He's been one of their best players. And like you said off the top, given the expectation coming into this year, given his age, he's still been really, really good and a second line center, and he's producing like one. So if he's hurt, this is a tough look for the Leafs going into a very bad stretch, I guess I could call it, of games. Like, very unfortunate, because they're playing some tough opponents, or a couple of teams that have caught lightning in a bottle at the right time.
Yeah, and again, I'll play it one more time. You mentioned groin. I don't want to speculate. We don't want to guess on what the injury is. We'll, of course, hear information, but it looks something like that. It looks like his skate gets caught and then he stretches really far. So hopefully it's something minor, and hopefully it's something that won't keep him out a long period of time. Let us know if you're concerned about it. I mean, again, we can touch on how bad the Leafs power play has been. Ironically, it was during a power play drill that this happened, but somehow, some way, the power play got worse. And I mean, it's a good point here. I didn't expect the power play can't get any worse. But with John Tavares out, he was one of the guys who's actually been playing pretty good on the power play, despite the power play being really bad across the board. The power play now, they're going to have the next man up mentality. And let's put the power play aside for a second. This is going to jumble the lines even more here now, and we'll dive into the lines in a minute. But any final thoughts on this regarding the power play? Because power play, which is already struggling, now loses someone who has been key to their power play the whole season, and now we're stuck without a second line center as well to make it worse.
Yeah, besides the power play, obviously, without your second line center, if he can't play, that's tough. That's going to be tough for the matchup game, especially against the New Jersey Devils. But in terms of the power play, he's been picking up points whenever they have been scoring, and he scored a nice goal against Philly, I believe, which was on the power play last week. So he's been pretty good on the power play, moving, doing his thing in front of the net. Obviously, the Leafs, the rest of the guys have been pretty stagnant. And again, I'm not saying John Tavares is fantastic on the power play. It's a five-man unit that isn't working right now, but it's pretty ironic that they were working on the power play and somehow it got worse because somebody got injured while being on the power play.
Yeah, it's Unfortunate. It's, I mean, shocking. You never want to see this happen, but we'll keep you up to date with all the latest news surrounding Tavares. I predict we get an update tomorrow during the either optional or mandatory skate. And talking about the lines a little bit here. Now, again, this was prior to the Tavares injury, but Darius, a few different things here. You have Dewar and Reeves out now, so Robertson, in a surprising move, stays in the lineup after a pretty rough game yesterday. And they also revert back to the Nyes, Matthews, Marner line. And I wonder how many times this season, or in the NHL, that a guy goes from the top line and in the next game down to the fourth line. In this case, of course, Steven Lorenz, he went from the top to the fourth line. So, any thoughts on this? It's a little bit interesting to have a Riley Myers, McCabe, Tanev, OEL, Timmins pairing now. They're shaking it up even more because, again, McCabe is back. And there's also some new reports that his return could actually be tomorrow, which we'll dive into in a little bit as well here. But the lines are back to Nyes, Matthews, Marner, Pacioretty, and then Tavares. I don't imagine he's going to play tomorrow now. So then I assume they're going to move people back up. Maybe Connor Dewar gets back in. They put Pontus Holmberg up. You move Max Domi up. There's a lot of movement now. But they changed the lines back to what they were prior.
Yeah, and like we talked about on stream yesterday, I don't know if that's going to work. Is the answer really putting Nyes back with Matthews and Marner? I think the answer here, we've talked about it, right? They put Lorentz up there. It didn't work. He ended up moving back down, like you just mentioned, right? I think the problem with that first line is the other two guys. It's not the guys that keep sticking on the left wing. It's the other two guys. Let's split up Matthews and Marner here and see what we got in each player on different lines. Let's try that because clearly them together, it just isn't working for me personally. But the rest of the lineup, pretty interesting. Obviously, Pacioretty back in. That line has been good, right? For a majority of the season. I keep saying it. When they play together, I feel like they've put together some pretty good minutes. But Pacioretty, as of late, hasn't been as effective. So he has to get back to playing his game and his physical caliber of hockey. And then it is pretty interesting that Robertson's staying in the lineup. But I mean, Reeves hasn't really been doing anything this year. And I know he's the diffuser and I have defended him, but he really hasn't been doing much this year. So why not keep Robertson in the lineup? Try to get some more scoring against the Devils. I don't think you need Reeves against the Devils because of the type of team that they are. We saw it earlier in the season. They don't, come in for any of their teammates either, right? Maybe Sheldon Keefe caliber of hockey. I don't know what it is, but maybe you don't need Reeves in this game. That makes sense. And now with Tavares out, presuming he is out tomorrow, we don't know for sure. I'm assuming we're going to get an update tomorrow, but Dewar could be back in the lineup anyway tomorrow. So we'll see how that works out and how the lines shape up. But in terms of defense, nice to see McCabe back with the full squad and in the mix there.
And Benoit's the one who's out, not Connor Timmins, which is a little bit of a surprising move. And it seems like Joseph Wall is going to get back in, not Dennis Hildeby. But again, we'll keep you up to we'll keep you up to date with all the latest news there as things continue to go. I didn't even see it. Hopefully he's okay. Craig Berube spoke out on John Tavares. McCabe is back and taking part in practice. So, and Craig Berube also came out and said they're going to have to see, Jake McCabe also spoke out, said he feels good. Craig Berube said he feels good. They're going to have to see how he is for tomorrow, but that's going to be a game time decision. We'll probably know tomorrow afternoon. So there's going to be a lot of updates to keep you guys up to date with. So you're going to want to check out that video tomorrow. But either way, let us know what your thoughts are on this. I mean, it keeps getting worse. The power play keeps getting worse. I do think the Leafs are going to bounce back tomorrow, but things are going to be happening. Changes are going to be made. And we're going to keep you up to date with all the latest news. So make sure to hit the subscribe button.